Black folks aren't just packing their bags for a vacation. They're grabbing their passports, stuffing suitcases, and chasing a life where they're seen, heard, and safe. Why? Because when relentless discrimination, financial barriers, unsafe neighborhoods, and doors slammed in your face team up, the message is clear: this isn't it. From the Americas to Europe, Black communities are dealing with government indifference, cultural invisibility, and a lack of basic respect, and it's fueling one of the most significant, quiet migrations of our time. This isn't about wanderlust. It's about survival, pride, and demanding more than being labeled less than. Some nations claim they welcome Black immigrants, but their laws and street-level realities paint a much harsher picture. Add in racial profiling, a lack of access to health care or housing, and being shut out of politics, and it's no wonder people are heading for the exit. So, where are Black people actually leaving? And what's pushing them out so quickly? Stay tuned for the full rundown. You'll definitely want to catch every name on this list. If you're ready for truth, hit that like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and tap the bell so you never miss an eye-opening journey. Let's get started. Number 10, France. Liberté, égalité, fraternité, sounds great, right? But for many Black people in France, those aren't lived experiences. The reality? Police stops that seem more like routine harassment, being shadowed in boutiques, and side-eyed in the metro. Studies reveal Black Parisians are up to 20 times more likely to be stopped by police than their white peers. That's not safety, that's surveillance. Housing policies keep many Black families isolated in neglected suburbs, the banlieues, where resources are scarce and opportunity feels far away. Black creatives and professionals are too often erased from national conversations. The media? Politically invisible. And schools? Colonial history gets whitewashed, robbing students of the truth. Fed up, many Black French people are moving to more welcoming places, Portugal, Germany, the Netherlands, or even returning to Africa for a sense of belonging and respect. Have you ever felt unwelcome, even when you do everything right? That's daily reality for many in France. No wonder so many are saying au revoir. Number 9, Brazil. Carnival, samba, vibrant Afro-Brazilian culture, Brazil is a global icon of Black expression. But beneath the glitz, Black Brazilians are in survival mode, not celebration. Over 56% of Brazilians identify as Black or mixed, but they account for over 75% of homicide victims. That's not a statistic, that's a crisis. Job opportunities are lopsided. Black Brazilians earn about 40% less than white Brazilians, are underrepresented in politics, and overrepresented in prisons. Racial profiling is routine, and police violence is a daily threat. For many, the dream is fading fast. No festival can distract from the deep inequalities. So, what do you do when you love your homeland, but it doesn't love you back? More and more Black Brazilians are searching for real equity abroad, places where their lives and talents are valued. Number 8, Algeria. Let's be frank. In Algeria, Black migrants aren't just unwelcome, they're actively pushed out. Forced evictions, street raids, and public hostility are rampant. Sub-Saharan Africans who hoped for a fresh start are instead treated as criminals. Crackdowns are harsh. Security forces storm homes and workplaces, round people up, and dump them at the border. No trial, no process, nothing. How do you build a life when your very presence is criminalized? Xenophobia is widespread, with government rhetoric fueling suspicion. Black communities here live under constant threat, denied jobs, housing, and even safety. No wonder so many decide to leave. Would you stay if your human rights were negotiable? Number 7, Libya. Libya is infamous for a modern horror, enslavement of Black migrants. Since the 2011 collapse of the government, lawlessness has allowed traffickers and militias to thrive. African migrants seeking a path to Europe are instead caught in a nightmare of forced labor, torture, and extortion. Slave markets aren't history lessons here, they're a brutal present. Detainees are packed into camps, denied food, and abused. The world knows, but change is slow and help is scarce. European governments even fund Libyan authorities to keep these migrants from reaching their shores. In Libya, black skin is a target. For those who escape, it's a one-way trip. Survival, not opportunity, is the only goal. Number 6. Saudi Arabia. Dreaming of a better life, many black Africans head to Saudi Arabia, only to find a system that traps them. The kafala sponsorship system sounds neutral but often means employers control your every move. Can't leave the country, can't switch jobs, and sometimes, can't even keep your paycheck. Over 2 million African migrants, many of them women, work as domestic help in Saudi Arabia. Abuse, withheld wages, confiscated passports, and 18-hour shifts are common. The racism is institutional and personal, slurs, humiliation, and isolation are part of the job. Speak up. Many end up detained or deported. The dream of sending money home becomes a nightmare of exploitation. For many, leaving is the only way to reclaim their freedom. Number 5. Turkey. In Turkey, being black can feel like walking around with a red flag pinned to your back. African migrants, especially in Istanbul and Ankara, face daily suspicion. Followed in stores, stopped by police, questioned for no reason. Most black migrants here find themselves in low-paying, exploitative work, long hours, no contracts, and little recourse if things go wrong. Black women, in particular, are vulnerable to abuse, with few protections. While Turkey markets itself as a bridge between continents, real inclusion for black communities is rare. Admired for their music, sidelined in life, many black immigrants are choosing to move on to places where they're valued for who they are. Number 4. Ukraine. When war broke out in Ukraine, the world witnessed not just bombs but blatant bias. Black students and immigrants, many from Africa, were left behind at train stations and borders while white Ukrainians were rushed to safety. But discrimination didn't start with the invasion. Many black students struggled with housing, education, and daily microaggressions long before. When crisis hit, they found themselves at the back of the line. Or left out entirely. The trauma of fleeing war was compounded by racism. For many, the message was clear: you're not really welcome. Now, black communities are warning others away from Ukraine, war or not. Number 3. Russia. Russia is notorious for open hostility toward black residents. Hate crimes, physical assaults, and public slurs aren't rare, they're routine. Skinhead groups and far-right extremists are a real threat, and police protection is unreliable at best. African students and expats hoping for a fresh start instead face constant harassment, from visa nightmares to racial violence to being the only black face for miles. Reports of racially motivated attacks are frequent, and justice is rare. When just going outside feels risky, it's no surprise so many black immigrants in Russia are leaving and telling their peers not to follow. Number 2. India. In a nation of over a billion, black people stand out, and not in a good way. From day one, African students and professionals report being gawked at, called names, and treated with suspicion. Harassed in public, denied housing, and often accused of crimes with no evidence, many feel isolated. Violence isn't uncommon. Attacks like the one in Greater Noida in 2017, where African students were brutally assaulted, show how quickly things can escalate. With few black communities or support networks, the sense of alienation is overwhelming. For many, the only option is to leave, even before their studies or work are done. When dignity is missing, loyalty fades. Number 1. China. Topping the list is China, where black residents have faced intense discrimination, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic. In cities like Guangzhou, black people were evicted, denied hotel rooms, and left to sleep on the streets. The reasoning? Baseless fears, fueled by misinformation and prejudice. Even before the pandemic, anti-black attitudes were clear: job ads banning black applicants, police harassment, and daily microaggressions. While Chinese companies invest heavily in Africa, black people in China struggle for basic respect. As one resident put it, "We're good for business, bad for community." When your existence is treated as a threat, it's time to go. That's why China is #1 for black people leaving in search of safety and dignity. Which country on this list surprised you most? Drop a comment below. From discrimination to danger, these migrations are about more than moving, they're about reclaiming humanity. Please like, share, and subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian for more honest, eye-opening content. Travel safe, demand respect, and never settle for less.